God bless you guys and welcome back to my channel. So we'll be talking about welcome back to my Άγιος Αθάνατος Orthodox Podcast, and we'll be talking about Russia and what the Orthodox Church believes about the Russia-Ukraine war. Last video was about the Gaza war, now the Ukraine war. So let's go. So firstly, it's a bit different from Gaza, a lot different, well, a bit different because it's two Orthodox countries instead of a mostly Jewish country, and the Jewish one is obviously bombing the Orthodox churches, obviously. And the Palestine, there's some people in Palestine like Hamas, they might not be innocent either, but the Jewish one is doing most of the destruction, and there's video of that, and it's not nice. But now the two Orthodox countries, mostly Orthodox countries. You would think, who do you support in the media? And then you support mostly Ukraine in most of the world, sadly, because the media can convince many people because they're important and people just believe whatever the TV talks about. And then most people are like that, unfortunately. No, they just believe whatever comes out of the TV. But they should think a bit with their mind as well. But I want to say, be neutral and say what I think, and because I think it makes more sense to be neutral and see it with the evidence. So firstly, let's start with the canonical churches. The canonical means the correct church. Uncanonical means the schismatic, incorrect church. Like the canonical church of Ukraine is Moscow linked, a part of the Moscow Patriarchate. It's very independent, but it's linked to Moscow, and that's linked to Constantinople because everything goes back to Constantinople, obviously. And then there's and that has been like that since Moscow. They made a church in the 90s, I think, for Ukraine. I think in the 90s they made a separate church, but it was a canonical church made by the Russian church for Ukraine because Soviet Union broke apart, and they thought they broke apart. The Soviet Union broke apart, and they thought, well, this is a chance to give Ukraine a bit more independence because we're not our own country. Maybe that's how they thought, I don't know. But then they just gave them some independence with their own church. I think it was created in the 90s. You can Google it, but I think that's when the canonical Orthodox Church was created or given more independence. Maybe there was a church before that, but more controlled by Russia. But then it got more independence in the 90s, the canonical Orthodox Church of Ukraine, that's still around now. And it's been like that ever since until the Ukraine war. And then during the Ukraine war, something interesting happened. Now, I support the Patriarch as a normal Orthodox person does. I don't support schismatic people unless they have an argument, unless it's a fair argument, because we shouldn't support schismatic people. But generally, I don't like schismatic people. They rebel. They're much unconvincing, but they're not the truth. They're not a part of the true church. And unfortunately for our Patriarch Bartholomew, as much as I want to like him, he has done something not very nice. He has supported the Zelensky regime that actively, he's also Jewish, by the way, Khazarian Jewish from Ukraine. He's not Jewish from Israel. His ancestors were Orthodox, probably converted to being Jewish like 1,000 years ago. No, when it was like Khazaria 2,000 years ago in like Russia, Kiev and Rus, when they were still pagan. I think there was a Khazarian state. They went from pagan and converted to Jewish, many like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. And then a bit later, around the same time, the Kievan Rus, that Russia was created. Russia was created. Ukraine and Kievan Rus and the Russian / Slavic country Kievan Rus was created. That is what modern Russia is. Ukraine, Belarus based their cultures off. That's around 1,000, 2,000 years ago. Kievan Rus existed. It was called, and they were pagan. Then they converted to Orthodox religion, but then there were also the pagans in Khazaria next door. They were next door to the Kievan Rus. Because Ukraine identity didn't exist. It was all Russian. And the Ukraine identity didn't exist. It was all Russian. And the Kievan Rus was Russian. The Belarusian and the Novgorod and Kievan Rus, they were all Russian. It goes back to Kievan Rus, Russia's history in Novgorod. But the Ukrainian thing started with the Cossacks maybe a bit later, or a lot later, after Stalin created the Ukrainian identity, because the communists were very into that thing, just like with Macedonia, North Macedonia, Fyrom, it's not Macedonia, it's more like West Bulgaria. And but yes, I don't like calling it that, because yes, the communist people were into creating different things, not good. So want to split the people apart. But by the way, the North Macedonia, as they call it now, I call it Fyrom, former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia, one in actually Greece, where I'm from people like me from northern Greece were from Macedonia, were Macedonians, but they're people that they were a part of Bulgaria, they were a part of Serbia. Then the communist people came along, decided these people they speak a little bit differently. They almost like they were a part of both countries. They speak a little bit of Serbian, Bulgarian. Let's call them Macedonian, because why not? They wanted to cause chaos, communists. So they like creating different cultures, these communists, because I think that's what they did. I don't know, that's what it looks like. They split people apart, and I think that's where most of the Ukrainian culture came from. Maybe the Cossacks, the Belarusian culture is a bit old, I think. But the Russian one is the main one that founded the Ukrainian and the Russian culture. So that's why they're so similar to it. The Russian one goes back to Novgorod and Kievan Rus. But next door to the Kievan Rus, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, was when they were being both very young countries. 1,000 years ago, when they were still pagans there in Eastern Europe. The Kievan Rus, next door to Kievan Rus, was a thing called Khazaria. Made it a bit complicated, but basically Kievan Rus became Orthodox with Byzantine. They sent they sent people to Constantinople. They became Orthodox because they were inspired. Kievan Rus. That's what it was, Kievan Rus. They got inspired by Constantinople after their little visit. They became Orthodox. So they got baptized in the 200 years. And then the Khazaria became Jewish. Yes, what happened? Kievan Rus became Orthodox, and then Khazaria Jewish. And then the ancient Israel that betrayed what they used to be. They used to believe in the Old Testament. Then the New Testament came along, and they didn't believe in it, and then they scattered, and their country dissolved, like the Bible said, and then the Jewish people scattered. Yes, and then the Jewish people scattered, but then the Jewish religion stayed because of the Pharisees. The Pharisees. Yes, the Pharisees. The Pharisees stayed around, and probably they lived everywhere in that region, including Eastern Europe, and and they converted the pagan Khazarians to Jewish, and they became later Ashkenazi Jewish, I think. They were taken over by Kievan Rus, and they became the empire, the Russian Empire. They were taken over after they were founded. Kievan Rus survived, the other one, Khazaria, taken over. And then they became, after the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, and all of. They have a history of Jewish peoples living in Russia and Europe ever since. And not only Khazarias, ever since the Khazarian people, they converted to being Jewish, because obviously the rabbis and all the Pharisees and all of them, they migrated to other places after Israel scattered, like the Bible said, and they converted Europe and Eastern Europe into Jewish Khazaria, and then the yes, and they converted after they scattered, like the Bible said. After the Bible said that Israel scattered. Sorry for these interruptions. They're annoying, I know, but yes. Let's go. So let's make it quick because it's a bit long, this video, so longer than it should be. So they're basically sounding a bit like Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson, with the history, 30 minutes of historical interview. And they got a bit. It's a good interview, you should watch it, but it's a bit boring if you don't like history, his interview with Tucker Carlson, but very historical he made it. Putin's very smart, but he made it maybe a bit too much history, but with Tucker Carlson, the Tucker Carlson Putin interview was a bit too historical, but it was a bit funny because they might have focused a bit too much on that, and that's why my videos sound a bit like that. Maybe my videos sound a bit like that, but yeah, it wasn't a bad interview, just a bit funny that it was a bit funny that they focused a bit too much on it. A bit boring if you don't like history, but I liked it. I think Putin is smart. But yes, maybe that's why my videos, they're smart, they have facts in them, my videos, but a bit boring because they're a bit long. Well, then let's not make it boring, let's keep going a bit slow. Yes, now basically Khazaria, after Israel, the Bible said they scattered, they went to Europe, they converted Khazaria in Eastern Europe. That area, the Khazaria was taken over, and then by Kievan Rus, and then Kievan Rus became Novgorod. I think Novgorod took over Kievan Rus, or they have a union or something, and then Novgorod became into Russia, or the Russia formed later, and then basically that's what you need to know, and then the Russian Empire, Soviet Union, modern day Russia, and the Jewish people and have existed in Europe since Khazaria, and Zelensky is one of them. He's not a true Jew, is what I want to say, but made it a bit long and boring. And he He's in Jewish controlled Israel, Zionist Jewish controlled Israel. If you know that about Zionism, they're not really Jewish. They're more like founders were atheist or agnostic. They weren't true Jewish, but if you know, you know the history. But the Zionist Jewish controlled Israel that murders kids and people in Gaza supports they might have a plan or something to return to Ukraine. Some people say a theory that says after Israel, because they're in trouble, they want to get another homeland. Some people say in Cyprus because of the immigration to Cyprus. Recently, some people say Ukraine because Israel supports the second only the one of the few Jewish leaders in the world, which is Zelensky. They support Zelensky, which is also the not many Jewish leaders in the world, and Zelensky is one of those few, but that's not a good thing because he's murdering kids just like Israel. Israel, genocide country, murdering Palestinians and bombing churches. Zelensky, Jewish, controlling Orthodox country, killing Orthodox people and the Russians and Greek people and other people, and in a war as well. Those two countries, the genocide countries, the killers, the bad countries teaming up. That's not a good thing. And wouldn't want to support that. But sadly, our beloved patriarch that I really want to support, Bartholomew, because I don't want to be schismatic, I don't want to be against him, he supports Zelensky. He created when the war started. Maybe he was influenced by the CIA because he's Greek and in Greece, but he's half Turkish because he was born in Turkey. And Greece, Turkey, NATO, CIA must have been involved in something. I don't know what happened, but sadly he supported the Ukrainian regime. He created an uncanonical church in Ukraine that targets Ukrainian monasteries and churches and people. If you see videos of they're very hidden. Ukraine censors them and kills and tortures people that talk about it, but I don't care. I need to show the truth because what Ukraine is doing isn't good, and Zelensky isn't a good person. I don't support him at all. Putin says he's denazifying Ukraine. And if you see the Azov battalion from Mariupol, he freed Mariupol from Azov fighters, and now there are some other places in Ukraine, in Pokrovsk, they're fighting. Hopefully, God willing, and God is protecting Russia, because Russia is actually protecting the Christians. They came in, they said they're protecting Christians, Russians, Greek people. They even said Putin said Ukrainian and the Russian people are one people. Not that he wants one country, then Ukraine not to exist. He said one people. He wants them to exist together. That's what Putin meant. And I support him because he doesn't support abortion. He banned the Satanist church. He's against the Jewish people controlling important things like the governments and the banks, and many countries have the problem of letting the Jewish people control the central banks and things. If you know, you know. That's just a fact. The Jewish people, they do a lot of usury and they destroy the economy that way, and that usury is also a sin, so he doesn't let that happen. It's a Russian Orthodox controlled country, Russia. That's why it's so strong. It's not controlled by the Jewish people that do usury. It's not controlled by atheists. It's not controlled by agnostic people or communists. It's controlled by Russian Orthodox people. Putin and the church are very close friends. They don't support abortion. They don't support LGBT. They made it illegal in public. They made the satanic church because that's what it's legally called, the church. But the satanic organization thing, the satanic church. Like I said, they made that illegal in Russia. They're a very traditional country, and I support that. And they're freeing the Russian and Orthodox and Greek and Ukrainian and all of those people. They're freeing them in the parts that they're liberating in Ukraine. They're freeing them, and denazifying Ukraine, because Azov is Nazi. They're Nazis, Azov. That's what they are. And if you see, there's a videos from Mariupol. This channel called Videos from Mariupol. Videos from Mariupol is a very good channel. He's 19, 20 years old, lived in Mariupol. He's Ukrainian, Russian, I think. But he says he's a Russian because now it's a Russian controlled. He lived back when he obviously lived back. He was born in Ukrainian controlled Mariupol, lived to see the war, and now he lived through the war, and then he's now living in Russia. So he's Russian, and he supports Russia. And he says why he supports, and he says how tyrannical Ukrainian regime. They only wanted the money, and they let the city get destroyed, and he didn't care about the city. It was a very weak city, crime and all of this, and the Nazis torturing people for not agreeing with them, and the Azov Nazis killing and torturing people that didn't agree with them or pro-Russian and things like that. Also, there's a thing called the Odessa massacre that in 2014, I think, that happened, and many Russian people sadly died. But no one cares about that because the media only cares about Ukraine, because NATO media is with NATO pushing into Russia's doorstep. They want to destroy Russia because the Western, American, Australian, and all of this, they support their Western countries. They support Ukraine because NATO is and America and all of this. They're all connected because they're America, European Union, Ukraine. They're all Western countries, and NATO is a Western thing, and they don't like Russia because they're standing up to them. So they want to destroy them. They're moving towards Russia closer and closer, and I don't support that. Russia is very weak. They can't win against Europe and America combined. That's what I don't support that. Right. And Putin said he's not interested in war, and the Metropolitan of Moscow said that says that the Third World War, World War III, will start not because of Russia and China and North Korea around. They don't want Third World War. The Israeli, the Jewish people, and the Americans and NATO, they want it very, very badly because they want their new world order. That's what the Metropolitan of Moscow said. Even Orthodox people say it. It's not a crazy conspiracy theory or anything. It's a known fact that the Jewish people and the NATO and America, they want their World War III. They want their World War III to reset the world for the Antichrist, to get the world closer to the Antichrist and for their thing. Even the Bible talks about it, the Antichrist. We're in the end times. We're in the end times, and things like that are happening. The New World Order is just a part of the end times, getting the world ready for the Antichrist and seeing how things are. I think Russia is on our side because of, obviously, they're on our side with their traditional Orthodox values and all of this Orthodox Putin and Orthodox Russia and the Orthodox Church in Russia that's very heavily supported, and it should be supported in Russia. Yes, Russia is on our side, let's just say that. Meanwhile, the Western countries, most of them, sadly, they're very LGBT supporting, and they lost their Christian roots and all of this. They're gone. the European Union. That's where the Antichrist will probably come from, I think. But let's pray for them, that they come back to God. And yes, the what was I talking about? Yes, and unfortunately, yes, Putin's rescuing, denazifying Ukraine. We saw that he's helping against Azov and other Nazi battalions, destroying Nazis in Ukraine. We can see he's doing that, and they tried. Ukraine tried terrorist attacks. The Kursk attack, they failed because they're already weak. They're attacking a historical part of Russia, and we know what happened the last time someone tried that. Cough, cough. It didn't go well for Hitler and his Nazis. Nazi Ukraine did the same thing. They lost. Surprise, surprise, they lost. But anyways, God supports the Russian Orthodox Church and the Orthodox Holy Russia. And my good friend Putin, I really support him. He's standing up for the Orthodox Christian people in the world. He visited Alaska. He met Trump. He met the Orthodox priests, and he welcomed them. And they welcomed him. But he was very happy to meet them, and he was humble, and you could see him if you saw the video. If you saw the video of him being humble with the Alaskan Orthodox priest, he respected the World War II memorial in Alaska, and that's why I support Putin, because he's very respectful. Zelensky, I don't want to judge him, but I'm saying the facts. He just, unfortunately, we have to pray for him and his country and the Western people and world and the Americans, Europeans supporting him and all of this. We have to pray for them, because what he's doing isn't good. He asks for money, he's killing people, he's spending money on useless things. Bought his wife, he bought his wife the 100th Lamborghini or something. There's a funny meme about him, I think, on the internet, a couple of memes about him buying his wife a Lamborghini by now. But yes, what he's doing, not only scamming the America and NATO with money, them giving money to him to kill people, he's using that money to kill people in Ukraine. He's using that to kill Russians and his own people. If they don't want him, well, guess what? He's going to kidnap them and torture them, because he labels them anti-Russian. Anyone anti-Zelensky is anti-Russian, and he tortures them. He's not good. We're giving him money to kill Russians and other ethnic Greek people, Ukrainian people, and all the Georgian Armenians living there, and all the other people in Ukraine. We're giving him money to genocide them. We're giving him money to destroy his country, do scandals in his country, money laundering. He's a rat. That's what he is, unfortunately. We have to pray for him. I don't like him at all, but we have to pray for him. I love him because God says to love him. I respect him. That's how I love him. I don't love him because, not in that way, but I respect him. That's what I meant to say. God says to love everyone, and I do. I respect him, but we have to pray for him because he's just not doing good things. And Putin respects Zelensky. He wants a peace deal. Putin said that Ukrainian and Russian people are one, and I respect Putin because he's very humble. If you see his reviews and his interviews and all of this, he's humble. And I respect that. And yes, a bit late on time, but I wanted to make it clear what I believe with Russia and Ukraine, and that Putin is humble and supports the Orthodox Church, because I think that's very important. And Zelensky is bombing the churches, and the media, unfortunately, they are a bit biased with the NATO and being Western owned and owned by the government and all of this. They say that not very true things a lot of the time, and that's sad. Most of the media in the Western countries, unfortunately, and our Theotokos and God protects Russia, and thank God they're winning. Thank God they're winning, and Russia is doing a lot better than they were even a week ago. They're doing a lot better now, and thank God they're winning. He's helping them, and I'm happy. And let's pray for peace. Let's pray for Ukraine, for Zelensky to repent, for Putin to have a peace deal, and for everyone to be peaceful, and for everyone to be peaceful, happy, and everything, like to be peaceful and happy. And what I wanted to say is that our beloved Bartholomew sadly supports the uncanonical church in Ukraine that supports Zelensky, and it was created in 2022 when they put together 4 different Ukrainian schismatic churches that were created in the 90s or 2000s, I think, and 2015, I don't know when they were created. They were schismatic. They were put together into one church, into a government church, what Stalin did to the Orthodox Church. Stalin controlled the church, and he replaced the Tsarist church with a Stalinist Orthodox Church, unfortunately. But now the Orthodox Church it came after the fall of the Soviet Union. They came back, and now Russia is different. That's a good thing. They have changed a lot. But we can't let that happen again. And it's happening. It happened in Ukraine already. We have to condemn it. The tyrannical schismatic church of Ukraine is uncanonical, and sadly we have to pray for that. It's sad because our beloved Bartholomew supports it. He is the patriarch of Constantinople, and he supports this heresy, these schismatics, and he's supporting this genocide, maybe without knowing it. I don't know if he knows it or doesn't know it. I don't know what he thinks, but we have to pray for him, and it's sad. But yes, and that's the truth. I support the people because this isn't in the news, so I want to say it loudly and clearly, because people in Ukraine are not doing well because of Zelensky bombing the churches, and it's not even in our news in Australia or anywhere in the world, because it's all about the money to Ukraine. And same with Gaza, because they're not white people in Gaza, and because Israel is a lot more rich than Palestine, and because Israel is a Western country and white and all of this, they care about these countries, about the money, where the money goes. If it's a Western country and Ukraine allows Western companies, American, European companies, to take their resources, they support Ukraine. If Israel is a lot more rich than Palestine, they support Israel because they have more money. So about the money, sadly, at the end of the day, it's bad. But we have to pray for everyone, and even our beloved Bartholomew, to change and realize his mistake. But even Saint Paisios, he said to respect the patriarch, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not at all against it, at all. I support the patriarch Bartholomew. I support him, I respect him, but I don't like his decision, and I really pray that he changes his mind, and I want everyone to see what I'm saying. I'm neutral, and I try to be as neutral as I can be, but I'm saying the reality because it's a bad reality. I pray for all the dead people, Ukrainian and Russian people, and that Bartholomew sees the mistake he's doing. And because he's our patriarch, like Paisios said, respect him. But if he's making a bad decision, like being a bit too close with the Pope, with the Pope in Paisios' days, and he's doing it even today. Even today he's doing it. Bartholomew is he's being ecumenical. Ecumenism isn't a bad thing, but it's a whole different topic on a bit of the Russia-Ukraine thing, but that's a whole different topic. We can do a video on that, but basically, yes, ecumenism not a bad thing, but sadly these days it's not the best thing. Let's say it like that, because the patriarch of Constantinople, the ecumenical patriarch. Ecumenical means bringing talking with each other, to bringing the community together, something like that, I think. The ecumenical patriarch, and that's ecumenism, and all of this is it can be a good thing in theory, but in the reality, sadly, it's not, because in reality what we want is the Catholic Church and the Protestants, all of the heretics, because we have to love them and respect them, but not be like them, because the Orthodox Church is the true church, and at the end of the day, they're heretics. We have to respect them, love them, but not be like them. They have to let down all their traditions that are not Orthodox and come to our church, convert their churches, be baptized or chrismated or whatever into our Orthodox Church, and that's how it should happen in ecumenism. But unfortunately, it looks like Bartholomew and the Pope Francis, and now Pope Leo, they're a bit friendly, and it looks like they want a common Easter, and they want to be equal like the Catholic. He's treating them sadly like the Catholic Church is equal to the Orthodox Church, which is not, obviously, because it's not equal, obviously. They're heretics, but he's a bit friendly. He doesn't see that. He wants to be friendly with them, Bartholomew, and but he's not. I don't know if he realizes that they're heretics, and he has to be clear. You have to join us or not talk. We can talk, but we can't settle on being equal. Like we're not equal. We're the true church. He has to be point on that. He has to say it like that. He can't be soft. That's what I'm trying to say. But sadly, he's not soft. He's a bit too friendly, I think, with the Pope. And he's talking about a common Easter date and all of this. I don't know. And a common communion cup or something. It's sad what he's saying. And this kind of ecumenism of 50-50, giving up on some things, and someone giving up on something and embracing it from the other person, and all of this. If the Orthodox Church is the truth, they should give up for their thing and join us. That's how it should be. The truth shouldn't change, because then the truth becomes a lie. If we change what we believe, we're not the truth anymore, because we're something different. And sadly, that's what the modern ecumenism is. And yes, it's sad, but I have to pray for them and Bartholomew to realize that we are the truth, and he has to be a bit more stricter. It's good he's talking, but the way that he's a bit soft and close to them, I don't like the closeness of it. So we have to pray that someday if God allows the other churches to join the Orthodox Church, which is going to happen, because in the prophecies it says that that the church will become one again, and then the Antichrist comes. But whenever it happens, one day it will happen, but it has to happen under the Orthodox Church, no other church, because we are the truth, not them. We can respect them, love them, but they're not the truth at the end of the day. We are the church. We are the truth. the one apostolic Catholic and we're the one Catholic and Apostolic Church. That's what we are. And yes, and unfortunately he has some problems, like the Bartholomew has some problems. He's our patriarch, like Paisio says it very well. You have to respect our patriarch because it's the Orthodox, in the Orthodox Church it goes like this: you have to respect the people above you. The patriarch is not God like the Pope is, but he's very high in the Orthodox Church and we have to respect them. And now people above us, like the priests and the bishops, we have to respect them because they're above us, because we're normal people, most of us watching this video. We're normal people. We have to respect our priests, bishops and patriarchs, and our beloved Bartholomew. We have to respect them like Paisio says, because it's a tiered thing, hierarchy thing. And but not if they're doing a heresy like Arius or other heretics. We have to not be like them. We have to pray for them, but not support them, but pray for them, love them, respect them, and pray for them, and love them, respect them, and pray for them to turn around. And yes, like Paisius says, we have to respect them, but not embrace the heresy. We have to love them, respect them, and pray for them, like I said. Yes, and that should be it. And it's been a long video, but it's, like I said, like the Tucker Carlson Putin interview, a bit historical, and but it has facts, and I want to make it clear that I'm neutral, and I don't support. I support the innocent people of Gaza, like I said in the Gaza video, the last one, but I also support in the Russia-Ukraine war. I support the innocent people of Russia and Ukraine being targeted by Ukrainian instruction Russia, Russian instruction Ukraine, that the civilians call that are they're in the middle of all this, unfortunately, and the people killed by corrupt soldiers, sometimes by accidents. Who knows what happens, but I'm with the people. But sometimes you have to support, and I also support the victim, the people, the side that looks to be more the better side. Palestine being targeted by Israel, I'm more on their side, but I'm also neutral, generally supporting the people as well. I'm also, while being neutral, supporting the people, I support Palestine. I'm leaning more on their side, at least, because Israel targeting Palestine in their churches, and they froze our beloved patriarchs, the Jerusalem Patriarch's bank account, sadly, today. That's what they did. That's sad. So we shouldn't support what Israel is doing. That's why I support Palestine. But we also should be neutral. We should try to be as neutral as we can. That's why I'm as neutral as I can be. And good balance, that's what I'm doing there. And same with Russia, Ukraine. I support the innocent people on both sides, and I try to be as neutral as I can be. But I support Russia because they're Orthodox country, and Ukraine is targeting the Orthodox Christian people in Ukraine, and they're not, for the reasons that I said. That's why it was a long video. I tried to explain what I believed, and I try to explain why I support Putin, because some people see the news and think that he's bad, but I try to say what I believe and how I think that might be not the most correct, that might not be exactly true. And yes, I hope you understood why I support leaning more while being neutral. Like I said with Palestine, I support the victim here, which is Palestine in the Palestine war, but also I support while in the Ukraine war, while being neutral and supporting the innocent people in the Ukraine war. I also support Russia because they're an Orthodox country, and Ukraine is targeting the Orthodox people and doing bad things in Ukraine and attacking Russia. And I said what I believe. If you disagree with me, it's fine. But I have seen some articles and some leaked videos and things online. You can see the churches of the canonical Moscow Patriarchate Church in Ukraine being attacked by pro-Zelensky church supporters, and it's not nice. That just, with that alone, you would not want to support Ukraine. Just that video, it's very a lot of blood in that video. It's not nice, but we generally have to support everyone and be neutral, and I hope we have to pray for peace. Yes, I hope you enjoyed my video, a bit long, but I hope you understood what I was trying to say. And generally, at the end of the day, the conclusion is the Orthodox Church believes in being neutral, but we should support Russia. At least that's what I do. That's what I support. At the end of the day, we should be neutral, like the Orthodox Church believes in neutrality and helping everyone, which is the right thing. But I think that supporting the canonical Church of Ukraine is that's a good thing as well, because Russia and the canonical Church of Ukraine is under attack by the not good, the Zelensky regime and the uncanonical Church of Ukraine, and that's not very nice, and that's not good. So, and Russia is an Orthodox country, and we should support them. That's why I support. I'm leaning more to them, but I support peace mostly. That's what I support. But leaning more to Russia's side, because they're trying to help our Orthodox people liberate them in Ukraine. And I hope you enjoyed my video, and God bless you guys, and subscribe, like, share if you liked the video, and have a nice day.